Hi, everyone. This is Sal Jade from the Psychic Healing Academy. And as part of this Psychic Healing business series, I'm here with you today talking to the very wonderful Francine Bayer. So I would love to explore and share with you today and get you some really great tips about working on phone lines for those of you who have been thinking about working on phone lines, or you're curious about working on phone lines and maybe you want to know about how to go about it and how to get a job and how to do it, and just some extra tips on how to succeed and some pros and cons. And Francine is my resident expert. So for those who know me quite well, like I have done thousands of phone readings in my career, but I've actually never worked on a phone chat line. So my experience in that is a little bit tiny. And so while I do teach in my advanced tarot and psychic business program about how to read online and how to promote yourself online, my one little area of weakness is I actually haven't worked in the phone line industry myself. And I'm very passionate about phone readings. I love them. But because I haven't been in that actual environment, I don't have as much experience to share with you as I would like. So I've brought on an expert. Francine is one of my former graduates from the Advanced Tarot and Psychic Business program. She is hugely successful at what she does, and I love watching her read. And she also has a really fantastic group that we're going to talk to you about at the end, so you can connect more with her if you wish to. But before I go, so I'm just going to get her to introduce herself and tell her a little bit about her business, her beautiful business, and what she does. And then I'll start getting some wonderful tips for you about how you can work on phone lines and what's involved. So thank you so much for coming, Francine.
Thank you, Sal. As you said, I'm Francine. I do work on chat lines. I do also have my own business. For me, chat lines are a stepping stone. Some people do stay there for years. I don't know if I'll give it up though. I don't think
that.
I really don't think I'll ever walk away from it completely.
I love that.
Yeah, I actually like the chat line. So
I
yeah,
love that
I'm a
because,
psychic.
yeah. So, yeah, tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about what your gifts are and what you do.
Well, I do work with all four players. Funny, tarot was the last thing I ever studied.
Which is how you get to know me. And that's the last thing.
Well, it was just because the death card and the devil card, and I had that my limiting belief,
Yeah.
and I had learned Oracle and had been practicing my psychic abilities, and I decided, I don't think it's so bad. I think it's more intention than anything else.
Oh, yes,
Because
absolutely.
to me, you could make an Oracle card bad if you wanted to.
Yeah, well, that's true. So, what's the name of your business again?
Alma Spirit
That's it. I
Connections.
love that. I love that name so much. Every time I see it, when I see it on Insta or I see it somewhere else, I just think it's got such a beautiful feeling name. So talk to us a little bit about how you got, but thank you for saying that you love working on the phone lines, because I know phone lines do get a bad rep, and for some people they're a good bastion of fire to go in and learn. And I do encourage people to learn in those kind of high-end intense environments sometimes, because it does turn you into a better tarot reader or a psychic. But they do get
I think
negative.
so.
Yeah, and they get a negative rep. So it's really nice to talk to someone who can give people some positive inspiration as well. So tell me how you got the job and what the name of the company is you work for, and how you went about preparing for being able to work for them.
I actually work on three.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
Oranum, Keen, and Ask the Answer.
Sorry,
I
can you say
chose
that last one again?
Ask the Answer.
Ask the answer. Yep, cool.
Yeah, they're out of the UK, I believe.
Okay. But obviously you're in the US, so anyone can work. You don't have to be
Oh
in the
yeah,
UK.
they
Yeah.
anywhere. They all usually pay through PayPal or something like that.
Okay.
I only started doing this about a year ago. Um, but it was like I didn't know, do I want my own business? Don't I? Do I want to do all that? And then I'm like, well, but if I just sit here, then I don't feel like I'm using my gifts anywhere, and I'm not
Mm.
serving. And to me, that's my whole purpose of doing this, is to serve. That's my part of my soul and life mission. So I decided one night, I just, off the top of my head, ooh, let me look. And then I looked, and the first one I came across was Oranum,
Yeah.
and I was hired that night. I was tested out and hired that night.
Wow. Now, can you tell people out there who are perhaps thinking of applying for somewhere like Aranum, like what does the test involve? Like, what do they make you do?
Read. It all depends. It all depends on like what kind of platform it is. If they're a phone line, Oranum is different. It's the only one that I'm sure there's more, but it's the only one that I know that is kind of like live. It's like a Facebook live where they type and they see me live.
Okay.
So
is it lots of people or just one-on-one?
No, it's lots of people.
Oh, right.
You have like two groups of people. One group where they just kind of watch you.
Yeah.
They're not members. They can't type. They can't say anything, but they can watch what's going on. And then you have the members who can type. And then what they do is they have what they call a private reading, where they will take you and then they do a private reading. But while you're live, you do readings there as well.
Right.
A lot of people like to do that. It's cheaper.
Yeah. Okay. So they'll like type in a question and you'll answer it as it's going through, as it's rolling through. Awesome. And then you go off and do a private reading if someone gets very excited about what it is you're offering.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you were applying for them, did they just make you give them what I would call a cold reading? You had to just read for the manager or something, or read for?
Yeah, they'll ask you a question. With like Oranum, well, most of them all want you to see how long you can keep them going.
Yeah.
That's part of it. But the ones on the phone lines, or even chat, they can be very quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
They'll ask one question, you give them one quick answer, and they're done, they're gone.
That's it. Okay, so that's the ones that ring up for the private readings.
The privates usually stay for a minute. They're usually the ones that have the heavier issues going on.
Okay, yeah, they want something a bit more deep and personal. So you read for Uranium, and they basically said, "Yep, you're hired." Like, how long did it take? Did they give you did they say straight away, or did you have to wait, or?
No, I think I started that night.
Oh, wow, that must have been exciting.
Yeah, it's like the middle of the night. I couldn't sleep. I was like, let's do this.
And what about the other two? How did the interview process, like if you were going to give someone some tips about what you have to do to prepare, or share your experience about how would you prepare for the other two? So ask the answers, is it? And
well, it's pretty straightforward. And you don't need experience.
Oh, so they don't want to know what you've studied or anything. They just want to.
They will ask you, and if you're new, just tell them you're new.
Yeah.
All they care about is you can give a decent reading.
Yeah.
You don't have to be perfect. Nobody's perfect.
No.
If you fumble, or if it's a one where you have to type, you do want to make sure that you don't type like you're typing your friend on Facebook Messenger.
So big professionalism involved. So with the ask the answers, is that? Yeah. Mm-hmm. How did you audition for them? Was that do you do it on Zoom, or do you do it?
That was a phone call.
That's a phone one. Yeah.
Yeah. And I like them because they're different. They have 20-minute blocks.
Oh, I like that.
So they'll buy a 20-minute session.
Yes. See, as you know, that's my preferred way of reading. I'm not a 1-minute reader. Only because it takes me quite a while to prepare to read. So for me, it can take me 10 minutes to prepare to go in and tune into someone. And if they only want me for 1 minute, that's kind of a bit obsolete. But so they gave you a phone call, and do they ask personal questions about themselves, or they just say, "Can you give me a general reading," or how do they do it?
No, they'll give you a scenario.
Okay. Yeah. Like a scenario, like, how would you answer this, or what do I need to know about this?
No, they'll just say, and I honestly don't know if it's their direct issue or if they're making something up. I have no clue.
Oh, that's interesting. So you don't even know if it's actually an accuracy thing, because it's actually they just want to see how you respond. That's good. That's interesting. And what's the middle one? Sorry, I caught the third one. So there's
Keen.
Keen. Is that just Keen? Yeah.
Yes.
And are they similar? Are they more like a phone line?
They have chat and phone.
Yeah.
You can do email readings, but it's not something that they do.
Yeah.
Like you would have to send them the email and then they have to pay to open the email.
Okay. Yeah. But generally, so mostly it's just chat and phone. And
Yeah, though that one I don't go on very often.
okay. So if you were going to share with the audience, what is it you love about the phone lines and the chat lines? Like what's your favorite 3 things about it?
Oh, random, the clients, the clients, the clients.
Oh, awesome.
They become your friends.
Yeah.
They really do.
Yeah.
Ask the answer. I like the time block. I like the 20-minute readings.
Yeah, you can get a bit deeper.
What else do I like about it? It's all different.
Yeah.
Every reading is different. Every client is different.
Oh, so it's nice and variety and keeps you interested. Yes. I like that. Do they tend to do you get paid monthly or do you get paid weekly? Like how do they compensate you financially?
Most of them are every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
so you kind of know.
I believe
that's
the answer is once a month, though.
Yeah. See, one of the reasons I do encourage, like in the advanced tarot program, as you know, I do encourage people to start considering those kind of jobs, because although in some stages, yes, they can have a negative name, but also it's what I call the bread and butter money. Like it's the money that you know is going to be coming in. You're not going to have to go out and hustle for it. You're not going to have to go and, post a lot on Facebook and hope you're going to, pray to get a reading. You just know that money's coming in, and that actually just makes it so much more calming, I think, as a journey to know that you've got that money coming in. So that's good that they pay you that regularly and you can expect it. You can budget around that. That's, I really love that.
The only thing, though, is you have to make a certain amount of money before they'll cut you a check.
Right. Okay. So you've got a minimum amount.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then if you don't make it, they just carry it over.
Oh, okay. I see. Okay. Cool. That's an interesting business model.
But the minimums are so small
that you'll definitely, it's highly unlikely you won't make it. So how many approximate hours do you say you would work a week in combination on all 3 of the lines?
30 tops.
30? Okay. And your hours, I know you're a wonderful night. So those of you who don't know, Francine is one of my wonderful moderators and on my tarot Facebook group, and which has got over 9,000 people in it. So that's a huge thing. So I know she's my brilliant night owl when I'm sleeping. And so you tend to mostly focus on the nights?
As the answer, I usually do the mornings, like my mornings.
Yeah.
Random, I do the afternoons and early evenings.
Yeah.
And at night, that's my time.
Yeah. Nice.
It's usually when I do my thing.
Yeah. I like that. And what about for those of the people that are out there and they're maybe already working already and they're thinking about doing it for flexibility? How flexible are they with their working hours?
Everyone is greatly. As the answer, they prefer you put a schedule.
Yeah, which makes sense. It makes sense if they're booking you for 20-minute blocks, doesn't it? I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Just so the clients know when you're coming in.
Yeah.
Or random, I don't schedule.
No, you just show up. And I love that.
They know.
It's like, I feel like reading.
They can send a message if it's that important.
Yeah.
They can video chat me. They can send me a message and I'll jump online if I'm free.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Awesome.
I don't like the schedule.
Oh, you don't like schedule? That's the opposite to me. I'm such a super planner. Yes, that's good then. But I love that because I think those of you who are out there and you're thinking, well, I'm not ready to quit my full-time job, which I think, maybe I could just do a bit of this on the side when I've got a bit of extra time. I think that's actually something that's quite beneficial.
Yeah, and they don't require a lot of hours from you.
Yeah,
a lot of them, some require a minimal amount of hours.
Yeah.
I don't think any of the three I work on has a minimal amount of hours, because there's times that I don't work any.
Yeah.
I
And
don't
that's
schedule
hard. Like,
fully.
I agree. I think that's hard expecting people to have a minimum amount of hours because you don't know you're going to make a certain amount of money. And you kind of have to open yourself up to be available, but you might not earn any income during that period. So you've potentially lost.
That's, yeah.
Yeah. So I
Well,
like that
random
they
can
don't.
be like that.
Yeah. Okay. So they do have that. You've got to make sure that you're on for a certain amount of time.
No, it's because there's times where people just come by and want something free,
Yeah. Yeah.
and there's days I don't want to talk to people. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
just in
No.
that
Look.
mood, and
Yeah. The
I don't
boundaries
want to
thing.
entertain these people.
Yeah. And I understand that. Look, that's, part of being a reader. And I know I talk about a lot that with the beginning students that are wanting, they often show up in our tarot card success Facebook group and they're like, oh, I'm so burnt out and drained. I've given 30 readings. And it's like, yeah, like you have to have that space for yourself where you don't
Why are they
talk to
giving
anyone. Don't talk to your family, don't talk to your husband, you don't talk to anyone. You just because and that
30
even
readings? I hope they're getting paid.
yeah, well, that's it. Well, there is, yeah, as you know, I'm a big fan of once you get to a certain amount of free readings, you should start transitioning into earning income from it so that you're not feeling, oh my goodness, I've got to come up with my rent money and I'm drained from, doing this other work.
And this, it gives you a little bit of an income till you figure out if you want to have your own business. And if your
Yeah,
business is running slow, if you want to take a month off, you're getting burned out, they don't say anything.
yeah,
You just don't go for a month.
yeah. I
Because
love that.
burnout is real in this job.
Yeah,
Burnout is
it
real.
really is. Yeah. And it's something that people don't realize going into it, that they actually have to create that space for themselves to just be like, oh my goodness, because and this is something that, as you know, from your years of doing this work, is that you take on so much stuff, you're dealing with so many intense subjects. And people can have quite intense, desperate energy when they're ringing phone lines and when they're, and you're like having to calm them and make sure they're okay and, reassure them but also be a good psychic and give the best guidance possible. So that's a real balancing act. And it can definitely take it out of you.
Yeah.
So for
You
you,
definitely run into some energy vampires in these jobs.
yes, and I think that's where it gets. So that's actually what I was going to say. What do you do to protect yourself? Like, so I guess what do you do to prepare before you go on every night or every day, and what do you do to protect?
I like to meditate beforehand.
Yeah.
I'm kind of horrible at protecting myself all the time. I'll be honest. But like I'll be sitting on a live at a random and I'm talking to somebody and somebody will come in and I'll be like, ugh.
Oh, you can
And
feel
it's
the
just going
drain.
in my head, protection. You
See,
get reminded
when that
frequently.
happens to me, I just pick up this. I pick up my black tourmaline and I just imagine it all going right through my body. Just like Brad the
I
nearest
usually
crystal.
take my spray.
Yeah. Yeah, and just do a shielding. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
And how, like for you, how would you encourage people who are working on these lines? Like, what do you reckon is a good way of succeeding on them and building up, in an honorable way, not a horrible, sleazy way, but building up a client base and getting the regular work there?
Being honest.
Being honest, I like that. Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, it's hard because a random you don't get reviews like you do in some of these other places.
Ah.
Now, one thing, everybody, if you're going to do it, pay no attention to your reviews.
That's I know
If
a lot of
it's
online instructors who say that too. They go, I never read them.
if it's a 4 and above, between 4 and 5, pay no attention.
Yeah.
Because you will get one customer that'll come in and say, and this happened to me, well, what's my person of interest? Are we going to be together forever? And sorry, love, I don't see it, and I just talked to her and straightforward but compassionate. That's how I read.
Yeah.
you cannot do this without having compassion for these people, because these people, some of them
There's
can be
so
very
much pain
delicate.
out there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And you've got to, I mean,
And
that's the thing. Yeah.
she slammed me in a review. And her theory was because you can manifest anything you want. No, you can try to manifest anything you want as
Yeah.
long as there's another person involved. It's
Yeah.
called free will, and
Yeah. You can't, you
doesn't mean
can't,
it's going to
yeah.
happen.
That's that sort of,
Sorry.
oh, hello. Who's joined us today?
This is Winston, my little buddy, the tarot cat. Yes.
Does Winston pop in when you're giving the readings and get curious?
Yes, everybody on Oranum loves him.
Yeah, what a beautiful little familiar. God, he's so furry. Look at him.
Yes.
Hello.
He don't want.
He doesn't like it when mum's not paying attention to him. So he's showing him his. It's like, I'm going to show you my bottom.
I knew he was going to do this, but if I don't keep him in the room, he sits out there and he cries.
Oh, no, they're very drawn to it. I see it with a lot of readers. I see that cats just come in and.
Oh, yeah. And when I do Reiki,
curious.
I have my other cat comes in. If I do Reiki, she needs to be around.
Yeah. So do you find that, I mean, I know I talk that, you know, that in my Udemy courses as well, about in my higher level courses, about how, especially with love readings, which is such a big thing on these lines, do you find that is there an avenue or a way you can say, look, I really feel like instead of coming back to me every week and asking, is he coming back to me and are we getting back together, that you go off and do a healing? Like, is there a way you can do that with them or encourage them to find someone to do a healing with?
You can encourage it. Chances are they're not going to listen, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I have told on Oranum, this client's no longer on there anymore, but she used to go from reader to reader to reader every day.
Yeah.
And just circle all around and ask everybody the same question.
Are we getting back together?
Yes.
Oh, is he
How's he feel about me?
How does he
feel about me? You know, and we've all been honest with this person, and they didn't care. There are people that just don't want help. They just want a quick answer.
Yeah.
And they're the ones in some of these cases that will give you, excuse my language, a shit review.
Yeah.
Because you didn't give them what they wanted.
Yeah.
But I say, be honest, be compassionate, and the reviews, don't sweat them, because if you do, you're going to make yourself crazy.
Oh, I know. I mean, you know, even from being an instructor on Udemy, like if you go and read some of my 1-star reviews, they're just awful.
Yeah.
And they're really, and some of them are almost so awful you actually have to laugh, because you're like, what?
No, one I did have to laugh.
Yeah, you just have to laugh, like, because that's the only way to manage that. Yes, people will troll, and people will, you know, if they don't get a certain thing from you, they will lash out. And look, with readings, yeah, you're right. It's people can get very defensive and they can get very angry. Yes. And I know I talk about that in the love readings course on Udemy, about how you've just got to be that balance of delicate and compassion, but truthful. You know, like you can't sugarcoat too much.
I'm a no bullshit kind of reader. I'll just tell you.
Yeah.
But I will say it in the most loving, gentle way that I can, that it's not going to work out or it doesn't look good. Now, I do try in the love readings. I always say, look, it doesn't look good now, but don't give up just yet till you can't take it anymore. Then get up and walk away. Yeah. It's on you when you decide you want to walk away. Yeah.
And that's what I love about you and your philosophy, because it's really similar to mine, about how I feel about how, look, it's your readings are about empowering your clients. They are about showing them that they have the strength to take control of their life. It's not about, I'm going to pay you money to wave a magic wand and make all my problems disappear, because there's no job that can do that. It's like we have to deal with our stuff and go through it, and sometimes it's hard and heartbreaking and painful. And
now there is a downside to working on these lines.
Yes, thank you. I know we've talked about some of the good things. What would you, and if you could share what the downside is and how you overcome it, because I don't want people to be scared. I mean, some people, it might not be in their highest good to do phone reading lines, but for some people they might be like, oh no, but I'd like to do it, but she's turned me off it. But how would I overcome that challenge?
If you're too sensitive, the reviews are going to kill you.
Yeah.
So you have to learn how to get past that. You have to learn how to get past a bad reading, because chances are there's another one coming up right behind
you. Yeah.
Just move on.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
I've had bad readings. I've had shit reviews.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
But you have to have faith in yourself as a reader and know that you did the best job you could.
Yeah.
And don't tell anybody you're 100%.
No, I know that always. I'm like, you can't do that to people, because I'm not.
There's no way,
no.
And people don't like it when I say this, there's no way any psychic can be 100% correct.
No, they can't, because it's like, well,
not with energy shifts.
Yeah.
You may be 100% at the time, but that what you just said may not happen because
and
something's
the free will of others as well, yourself and others. Yeah, that's so true.
Now, on a random, you will get perverts.
Oh, really? I think someone else messaged me about that too and said, I'm getting these pornography stuff. And I was like, oh, sorry, there's not much I can do. I got to work on it. But how do you manage that?
Well, not everybody's me, but you can usually tell because you can read the screen name and it's something that has to do with their male part.
Oh, okay.
A
phallic
Big
symbol.
Daddy Long John or something. It is ridiculous. So they'll come in and I'll just be like, look, it's a smut. And before you start, little boy, I ain't having it. And I'll just kick them out. But
so you can do that. You can actually just get rid of them if they're being offensive and inappropriate.
But I will say, no, don't get me wrong. I like Oranum and I'm trying, and I don't want to turn people off from this. But like when I first started, people would take you into private, and then what will you do for them? And it's not how I make my money, and I'll just jump out.
I don't understand why they don't just go to other websites that cater to
that. Because there are people on Oranum that do cater to it.
Oh, okay. So there's a bit of a interesting crossover. Okay.
Trust and believe. If that's how you want to make your money on Oranum, I don't care.
No, it's just a bit.
It's not my problem.
Out of context.
But every other reader will know what you're doing. All the readers know what you're doing because it's the same people that come back, go around and around and around. And if you're getting all these, there's just clues, and it's like they do talk.
So that's going in your book. That's the funny stuff that's going in your book.
Like on Keen, I had one man call me, telling me about a homosexual experience he had for an hour. I just listened.
Well, sometimes people need that. They need that kind of someone just being able to share that in his family or
and I'm like, I'm very open-minded. I don't care what people say. If you give details, I'll just but I will listen.
Yes.
So
I can see in that context from a spiritual, a spiritual way, especially if you're from a certain cultural background, you might not be able to talk to your friends about that. Or if there's something that's not acceptable to your immediate loved ones.
But if it bothers you, just politely end the call.
Yeah. So I guess what you're saying is you're going to work on uranium. For those of you out there thinking about it, you do have to have tough skin. You have to be a little bit, you can't really be too delicate because you might be faced with some of these confronting situations.
I would have tough skin just to be a reader anyway.
Well, you do. And that's, it's a weird thing because most readers are very sensitive and we pick up, that's how we pick stuff up. We're empaths, but obviously being a reader in the public eye, you do have to become resilient, as you were saying before. You have to learn to ignore reviews. You have to believe in yourself.
Yeah, and you have to, have confidence in what you're telling these people.
Yeah.
And have enough confidence in yourself to say, you know what? Give me another minute because for some reason I don't think I'm connecting, or well, these cards, and I do this, these cards don't make sense. There's
Yeah.
times I know it's my energy in those cards, and it's like, oh no.
Let's try
And if I
again.
get it again, then I'll go, oh, you're going through the same thing I am today.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
does happen.
Mm.
But it's just such good practice.
It is, isn't it?
Um,
Yes. Because you really, I mean, it's that, I mean, I talk about in the advanced tarot program how one of the best bastions of fire for me was doing a mind body spirit festival, and really early on in my days, and just doing 17 readings in a row. And then, going home and face planting on the bed, but just, that feeling of it's so, you haven't got time to pontificate or worry or be nervous. You just have to go in there and give your all and trust yourself completely. And it's
and you can take breaks. Like,
yeah,
if you're scheduled or you're on there, just click on pause. No, random, you can't do that. But I will not stay online. I usually try and jump off in an hour.
that's good. That's a good amount of time.
Yeah, and then I'll come back. But
Have a
sometimes
break
it's
and
a little over. But
yeah,
I mean, and if you're not on live, and people, believe me, people look at the book on live. I don't with tarot cards, but with oracle cards, I'll look at the book. I can't memorize every oracle card of all the decks that I have.
they are a bit more challenging for that, aren't they? Because they don't follow a structure like the tarot. Yeah, they're definitely.
Yeah.
So I was going to
And
ask you that actually. I was going to
yeah,
say,
so
what do you find you use more of? Do you combine the tarot and the oracle, or do you just use tarot, or just channeling, or how do you run a session?
I very seldom channel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just because I've had people ask me on a random, and it's like, yes, if you take me into private, I will channel.
Yeah,
I
yeah, because
won't
it's
use tools.
more preps. Yeah, yeah,
But you're not going to sit here with a low pay rate,
yeah.
get me to open up my energy in a live anyway. I'm not going to do
Yes.
it.
Yeah, yeah. That makes
Because
sense.
believe it or not, there are people, I've had people come in and go, can you summons a demon?
No. How about we not do that?
Yeah. There are people that
Like
do that.
Yeah.
There's so many, on a random, there's so many categories that they have where you could fall into.
Oh,
So
so are you under tarot?
they
Oh,
do have tarot. I use tarot and clairvoyance.
yeah.
I think
So
you can
when
use
you
two or three.
so when you sign up, do you get to choose what category you're in, or do they put
Oh
you
yeah.
in a category? Oh, okay. So you can choose. So you can choose if you want to be mediumship, if you want to be. Okay, that's cool. Okay, that gives you that.
But I wouldn't recommend doing it in a public forum just because there can be so much going on with these people. You don't know if they're
Yeah, and
into
look, I
black
think
magic.
yeah,
I didn't know how prevalent black magic was till I was on a
went on
read.
these sites. Okay. Yeah. So maybe it sounds, I mean, for me, it sounds like if you think you're someone who's a bit delicate and you don't really want to be, involved in that, it might be better to look at something like the Ask the Answers, where you get proper
Yeah.
20-minute blocks and you get to work a bit more personalized with people.
Or there is one called Medium Chat.
Oh, okay.
That's all if you don't want to talk on the phone,
you just do it by phone?
There.
Is that
all you
like
do
you
is
just
type.
text? Oh, okay. Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
You just chat.
Medium chat.
The people that are just starting, if you're on the phone or on chat, who knows if you look anything up?
Oh, if you're struggling and you're still trying to get used to doing it. Okay, yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, you don't quite know if you haven't got anyone.
But wherever I work, even if they can see you, just say, hey, I'm stuck. Give me a second. Let me look up the book. Because I can never remember my numbers.
Numerology, yeah.
Numerology and astrology.
The things that go over. And look, I'm a big fan. Like in my readings, if I get stuck, and I have to say, look, this card's not making sense to me in the context of the question you've asked me. Can you just give me a moment? And I will just literally go back within myself and be like, what is this card? What is this card? What does it mean? And even occasionally, if nothing is coming through, then I will pull another card, and then I will, build and see what's going on. So yeah, I think pretending you know everything and you're perfect is not always gonna, when you've reached
And
those
these people
walls.
are so forgiving. They
No, that's
really are.
nice. That's
I've
nice.
never really had somebody go, "Would you hurry up?"
See, that's a bit more
Unless it
relaxed
was
and
one of
informal.
those 1 minute phone calls, and
People.
it's like, I
Yeah.
can only type so fast.
Yeah. And that's interesting because obviously, yeah, I find people when I do like one-on-one readings or Zoom or phone readings, I think they are generally very forgiving. They're rarely in that state. And when they're in that state, I just take a moment to send them some beautiful energy and calm them down a bit.
And a lot of them, like when you're new,
Yeah.
they will come to you because you're new.
Oh,
So
really? They want someone who's a
yeah,
bit more.
they just want to try you out.
Oh, that's nice. I
So
like that because that's not how other online businesses work. Usually you have to have a fair bit of street cred already. So that's
yeah,
good. That's good. So that's another good tip for those of you who are a bit wary about doing it. It seems that people are willing to try new people. Whereas as, building your reputation and your reach up online, people are less likely to try someone who's new.
I will say Celtic crosses are not a big fan favorite.
No, because that
They're too
takes so
time
long.
consuming.
No, they take so long.
I've learned to read. I don't use a spread.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
Some people do. But especially with like love, or somebody's in a hurry, have a little something that you do. Just throw cards and ask questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can get a little bit in. You want to give them something, but don't give them everything.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good tip. Yeah. Because that's, and I say that to people too when they're doing the free readings, like, yes, a free reading is not meant to be the same standard as a full 1 hour reading, like it's a different thing. It's a different kettle of fish when you're trying. So do you, for you said you feel like this is a really good part of your beautiful business model. I also know you've got a group, a spiritual. And one thing I love about Francine is she combines what I love, which is she uses the cards, but she also uses the spiritual practices and Reiki and other things, which I love. That's my psychic healing part of me. So can you share with everyone a bit about your beautiful group?
Yes, it's called Spiritual Soul Connections.
I'll put a link
it.
in the description for everyone. Yep.
I just started it, and I started it mainly because I was coming across a lot of people who were going through a spiritual journey, spiritual awakening.
Mm.
I went through mine all by myself, had no clue what was happening to me. I thought, I'm losing my mind. I'm already bipolar, which turns out I don't think I ever was bipolar.
That can happen if you are coming into your
path.
spirituality and your psychic gifts. You can really doubt your mental health because you're like, what's going on? Yeah.
Yes. And these people don't know who to ask. You don't go tell your friends because you're like, what's wrong with you? So I was like, let me just start a little group just for people to have support. So it's anybody's welcome kind of thing, even if you're just curious about what's going on out there.
Cool. Well, I'll put so it's called Spiritual
Soul Connections.
Spiritual Soul Connection. So I'll put a description in that too. And I also, because I know you work on the phone lines, but you also do private readings. So how can people contact you if they want to get a one-on-one reading?
They can either find me on Facebook through Alma Spirit Connections. Find me personally.
Cool. I'll put I can put all that in the description.
I do have a website.
And your website.
Spirit Connections.
Perfect. Because you do varieties of readings too, don't you? Which I like. It's not just like one sort of reading, it's different ones.
And I'm very proud of this. I am going to be offering a program very soon, guys.
I've been encouraging you to do this. Yay! Get those beautiful teaching gifts out there. I've been
struggling with it, but I think I'm finally getting it.
Stepping into the mode.
Well, I just have so many ideas, and it's like, well, you can't do everything. So narrow it down.
Narrow
So I
it
figure
down.
I'll start with this and then I can build on that.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I look forward to seeing that. Well, thank you so much, Francine, for joining
Thank you,
me.
Sal.
And that's been
Always a
wonderful.
pleasure.
And I hope that's helped anyone who's thinking about getting into phone lines and some of the procedures and the interview processes. So if people want to go and sign up, do they just literally go to those websites, do they, and just click on them and fill in an application form?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
And if
cool.
anybody has any questions, you can message me. I don't mind. That doesn't bother me. Just reach out and ask,
So
and
I'm
I'll do my
laughing
best
because
to answer what
Francine
I
knows,
can.
unlike me, my assistant handles all my Facebook messages. So that's it. Francine, on the other hand, doesn't mind people messaging her. For me, I'm like, no, there's like 400 notifications in there. I can't deal with that. Yes. Okay. Awesome. So I'll put that link to your Facebook page as well in the description so people can reach out to you if they want to ask you more questions about doing this. Because, as I said, you are a much bigger expert than me, and I'm so grateful that you've come today and shared this information with everyone about
Thanks for
how
having me,
to.
Sal.
Absolute pleasure. And again, if you've got any questions, reach out to Francine, or you can reach out to me at www.saljay.com and just click on contact. So thanks for joining me, everyone.